We had a couple of days in Manila before our 5-day excursion to North Luzon, so we headed to Rizal Park, named in honor of Dr. Jose Rizal, a Philippine hero, and then we went to the Manila Hotel. Ernest Hemingway, the Beatles, and many more famous people have stayed here, and there are lovely interiors. We ended up eating in a place called Barbara's Heritage Restaurant in the touristy Intramuros area, and we were treated to a variety of performances by local dancers and musicians. I enjoyed the show because the performers seemed genuinely interested in what they were doing. You could see various influences in the dancing and costumes, including Spanish, as the Spanish been involved in the Philippines for about 300 years. These guys seemed happy that I filmed them. The 5-day North Luzon trip took in Baguio, Sagada and Batad. The first day involved an early start and a long drive north of Manila to Baguio through flat plains and eventually into the mountains where it was a bit cooler and also quite wet. We went to the Ben Cap Museum, which is well worth a visit. These are the jeepneys that you see everywhere. The next morning, we drove to the colourful Stobosa hillside homes artwork. In 2016, about 200 houses were painted in these incredible colours as part of a scheme to brighten up the area and provide a tourist attraction. What a great idea! That's Carlos on the left, our driver. There was a brief stop at the Mines View Baguio. For unknown reasons, local tourists were dressing up as Red Indians. Then we drove north, heading towards the Cordillera Mountains. These mountains became more and more impressive the deeper we went into them. They are spiny mountains, quite close together, and rise up to 2,900 meters. They're surprisingly heavily populated, with houses perched on top of all sorts of drops. Each year the rains cause many landslips, but the government is constantly putting effort into improving the roads. I was quite impressed by that. There was a slight issue getting to our hotel in Sagada, a quaint, Hobbit-inspired boutique inn, but we managed to lift our bags over the drop. The next day started misty, but this soon cleared and we proceeded to one of the highlights of the trip, the hanging coffins of Sagada. Our local guide was Betty, and her grandfather is in one of the coffins on the rock face. Her mother is shown in the photo album she's holding, taking part in the traditional ceremony when someone has died. There were some other coffins nearby, and then we went to Lumiang burial cave, where there were many more, some dating back hundreds of years. We also passed an upside-down house, and after a lemon pie, it was back on the road, through the mountains to Bontoc. For some reason, the tricycle taxis in Bontoc are particularly colourful. Then we headed to Banaue, which is famous for its rice terraces. At the viewpoint were these beautiful Ifugao ladies. They were so sweet, telling us about their traditional outfits. One was 88, one was 89, and essentially they get dressed up and sit beside the cafe most days, greeting tourists and making pocket money from having their photos taken. Further up the road were some more Ifugao people. It was nice to get a personal welcome at the Banaue Hotel, but I think they do that for everyone. The view from the hotel across the mountains was awesome. The next day was another highlight, a trip in our personal jeepney through the mountains. We went to the famous but fairly remote Batad rice terraces. The terraces are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, having been originally created by hand about 2,000 years ago, and what a sight they are. We started at the top of a sort of cauldron-shaped valley and walked down to the bottom, admiring the hundreds of terraces which follow the contours. It was quite steep but worth the effort. It is possible to trek further, but we decided it was too hot for a longer walk. At the bottom of the valley is a village with several traditional buildings and lovely views. On the way back up, a local family invited us in to try some fruit which they'd just cut. Then it was back in the jeepney for the ride home to Banaue. I'm not sure why there were so many people queuing here, but they were given food, so it was probably a local festival. You can see how heavily populated the hills are. This is the local indoor market at Banaue. We decided to take a tricycle back up the hill to the hotel. Then on the fifth day, Carlos drove us back to Manila. It was a long journey. The Cordillera had been heavily populated, but now we pass through the fertile plains where they get 2 or sometimes 3 crops of rice. Buffalo are not very common anymore, but are still sometimes used to transport bags of rice from the fields. Getting back to the bustle, heat and traffic of Manila was a bit of a shock, but we had enjoyed the North Luzon excursion, and then we had a 10-day trip to Palawan to look forward to. Thanks for watching. See you next time.